Right, I'm the duty inspector. You mind telling me what you're
Hello,
doing?
Inspector.
Can you just go around to the front of the building now? I'll
Please don't
speak to
be.
you.
Please, yeah, I'll engage with you, but don't be aggressive like that.
Okay, well, don't. You must not look in the police station. The video inside police station.
I wasn't videoing, but I was looking.
Is this on? Is it?
Well, I wasn't videoing.
Right. You do not film inside police stations,
please
right?
don't speak to me like that. I'm not speaking to you like that.
Under legislation, okay?
An offence under legislation?
Yes, it is.
What legislation would that be,
It's a security offence, okay?
A security offence.
Right,
You're being a bit fake there, Inspector.
Are you the gentleman who came earlier and asked to fly a drone over the police station?
I didn't ask. I said I'm going to when I am going to.
Right, okay. So I need to point out it's actually an offence under current legislation.
And what legislation would that be?
Right, okay. So it's an offence under the Air Traffic Management and Unmanned Aircraft Act of 2021.
No, it's not.
It is, okay.
No, it's not. Can you show me?
We've taken some legal guidance.
Can you show me?
I'm just going to tell you, okay?
Can you show me that legislation?
If you do that,
I am doing that.
I consider that a risk to the police station security.
I'm doing that.
If you continue to do that, I'll ask you to stop doing it, and if you don't do it, we'll seize your drone.
When the discussion turns to the Air Traffic Management and Unmanned Aircraft Act 2021, that alone doesn't make the drone flight unlawful. That act primarily strengthens enforcement powers related to unmanned aircraft misuse and compliance with aviation regulations. It does not create a blanket prohibition on flying near police buildings. For a breach to exist, there must be a clearly defined restriction in play, such as controlled or restricted airspace, endangerment of persons or property, or a violation of Civil Aviation Authority requirements. None of those elements are clearly identified here. When Torbinator asks the straightforward question, which specific rule am I breaching? The inspector declines to point to one. If the legal authority were clear and applicable, citing the precise provision would resolve the issue immediately. The reluctance to do so shifts the debate from enforcement to interpretation, and that distinction matters.
You will commit an offence and you will be
I'll tell you what, Inspector.
Under that legislation. I'm just explaining what the legislation is.
Listen.
Okay.
If you can show me that legislation, then obviously I won't do it.
I've just explained to you what it is.
No, show me.
We've taken some guidance from our legal department.
Yeah.
I've just explained to you.
Well, you better take some more. You better take some more then.
So
if you can't show me that legislation, I will do that.
I'm telling you, right?
I am doing that.
You'll be asked to stop doing it. If you don't do it, we will seize it under Section 19 of the legislation.
No,
you will commit offences.
No, you won't. If you do anything that's unlawful, right, I will.
Well, yeah, I would expect that you would.
I would, but I don't want to do that, Inspector. All I want to do.
Not film inside police stations.
I wasn't.
Because it's well, that looks like it's on, and you.
Well, how does that look like it's on? Is the screen on? Is the screen on, Inspector?
I can just see a red light.
A red light. You can't see no red light because it's not on.
Well, you mustn't do that because it's a threat to our security in the police premises.
Okay, listen.
It's an official government building, you know that.
Listen, it's a public building.
Do you mind if I take you on in, please?
Yeah, Darren.
Darren what?
Darren, that's as far as we're going.
Well, okay, Darren. Well, obviously, if you are found to be committing any offences, we'll need your full details. Otherwise, we couldn't deal with it by way of summons. You would have to be arrested.
I'd expect that.
Torbinator offers a straightforward solution. Show the specific rule being relied upon and he'll comply. That should have been the simplest point in the exchange. If clear authority exists, producing it ends the debate immediately. Instead, the inspector pivots to the threat of seizure under Section 19 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act. But Section 19 is not a blanket power to confiscate property whenever officers feel uneasy. It permits seizure only where there are reasonable grounds to believe the item has been obtained through, or used in connection with, a specific offense. In other words, a relevant breach must already be identifiable. When that line of reasoning weakens, the focus shifts again, this time to Torbinator filming with his body camera, with the suggestion that the building's status somehow makes recording inappropriate. Yet the mere fact that a police station is a government building does not automatically prohibit filming it from a location accessible to the public. The legality hinges on where the person is standing and whether any specific restriction applies, not simply on the identity of the building being recorded.
Well, are you going to give me a full name?
At the end of the day.
Darren, will you give me a full details?
Will you give me your full details?
Yes, I will. I'm Inspector Garney from Northumbria Police, Hexham Police Station.
Okay.
7781's my force number.
Okay.
Right?
What's your date of birth?
No, you don't
What's your address?
Don't be silly.
Well, what do you want mine for?
I'm explaining to you, right? You will breach current legislation.
I will not.
Which we've taken
I know the legislation inside out.
Please don't do it.
I'm doing it.
If you do it,
I will do it.
We'll ask you to stop.
I'm definitely doing it now you told me that. Because I know you're lying. I know you're lying.
And if you don't allow us to seize it, you will be arrested because we won't be able to deal with it by way of summons.
Right.
Okay?
Listen, you seize it.
Please leave the building.
I'm not in the building.
Just leave the area.
What?
Okay?
Why? I thought me and you were having a pleasant conversation, weren't we?
With you.
Like, you're not being reasonable. We're having a conversation. You're telling me to leave.
Right? You are a threat to the security of this building.
And how do you work that out,
recording
Inspector?
Drone footage. So I'm telling you not to do it.
Inspector, listen.
I'm explaining the legislation that prevents you from doing it.
There is no legislation that tells me that I cannot fly over here. The only way I couldn't fly over here, right, is if it was an FTR, right? I couldn't then. If there was a CTR, I still could,
Darren,
because of the class of drone that I've got.
More. Will you give me your full details, please?
What?
The inspector then shifts to demanding Torbinator's personal details, despite never clearly identifying an offense that would lawfully justify requiring them. Simply labeling someone a potential security risk doesn't make it legally so. There must be objective, articulable grounds behind that assessment. Torbinator responds by pointing to the actual regulatory framework that governs drone operations. If the area were subject to a flight restriction, FTR, he wouldn't be able to lawfully operate there at all. If it were within a control zone, CTR, flights may still be permitted depending on the aircraft category, altitude, and compliance with Civil Aviation Authority conditions. These aren't gray areas, they are structured systems with defined parameters. The key issue is that none of those mechanisms have been demonstrated to apply in this instance. Without showing a specific restriction or breach, the justification for escalating the encounter remains unanchored to the regulatory framework that actually governs unmanned aircraft use.
Tell me why, and I'll think about it.
Because I want to know who's on these premises, because I'm concerned that somebody turns up with, a face covering like you. Like, why are you covering your face?
Do you know, I'll tell you now. Yes, I'll tell you why you covered my face, Inspector. Because I was looking in the window, right? Yeah. And when you come out, you came right into my face.
Yes,
now,
I did.
I don't know if you've heard anything
Because I don't like people looking at police stations who shouldn't be looking inside police
stations.
Okay,
listen then.
Especially when I think they're filming.
Listen then.
Right, I've said all I'm going to say.
Oh, no, listen, let me finish. You'll ask me a question, man. Now, be polite, Inspector. I've listened to you. So, when I first came, I came into reception, right, to be reasonable and tell you what my intentions are, right? So,
and I got that message, and in fairness, I was going to come speak to you.
Don't interject, please. I haven't interjected you, Inspector. Please let me finish, please. Please let me finish. No, I wasn't asked to leave. Yeah. I said I'm going to go to the toilet because I had a bit of a bad stomach. But anyway, getting back to the point, right? If I was any threat to this police station, I could stand what? 3, 4, 5 miles away, and I could fly my drone over this police station. You wouldn't have a clue where I was, Inspector.
Right,
so if I was a threat, I wouldn't go into the police station and explain out of courtesy and trying to be reasonable. Okay. I've even given you my first name. I don't have to, but be reasonable, I have.
Another point that weakens the inspector's stance is the prior context. Torbinator had already entered reception and openly explained his intended drone flight before taking off. Someone with genuine malicious intent doesn't typically pre-announce their actions inside the very building they supposedly threaten. That context was known before the inspector came outside, yet the approach treats the situation as if it emerged without warning. Ignoring relevant background changes the tone from precaution to presumption. Torbinator even volunteers his first name, something he is not legally obliged to provide in the absence of a clearly stated power. That gesture suggests openness rather than concealment. Despite this, the inspector continues pressing for further details without identifying a concrete offense or restriction. The interaction highlights the gap between perceived risk and demonstrable grounds, and how failing to acknowledge context can skew the assessment from objective evaluation toward entrenched suspicion.
I'm about to doubt my intentions. You might not like that as an individual, but that's not the law.
Well, it's not a case of not liking it, Darren. It's a
please let me finish, Inspector. Please let me finish.
I've explained the legislation under which
Can I speak to you, mate? Because he's just rude. He's just rude. He's just rude.
We've just... No, I'm just telling you how it is.
You're not telling me, Inspector. You're just saying rude, man.
If you'd like to go, we've all got jobs to do.
The legislation, like you're saying there, about Section 19, right, you're wrong, mate.
Okay.
You're totally wrong,
then you
bro.
can challenge Northern Police Legal Department.
But I don't want to do that.
Because that's
I don't want to have to do that, though.
Well, that's up to you. That's your prerogative.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I've told you,
I'm not here
you will not be permitted to fly the drone over this police station based on police station security.
I can fly it anywhere and look in, mate. Don't have to fly over.
I've just asked you not to do it. I've explained the legislation for you not to do it.
Right, explain the legislation again.
Consequences.
Legislation again.
Right, because it's a threat to the station security for you to fly the drone and record that drone.
And that tells me that in Section 19, does it?
No, Section 19 is the offence. It gives us the power to seize the drone if you don't.
Right.
At one stage, the inspector tells Torbinator to move along because officers have real work to return to. That argument rings hollow given that the encounter only unfolded because they chose to come outside and escalate it. The situation wasn't imposed on them, it was initiated by them. Invoking workload as justification after voluntarily engaging doesn't resolve the underlying legal question. When the discussion returns to the absence of a clearly defined offense, the inspector doesn't clarify the statutory basis or refine the grounds. Instead, he deflects by suggesting Turbinator can raise the issue with the legal department later. That kind of response is revealing. If the authority being exercised is solid and properly understood, it should be capable of being articulated in the moment. Deferring explanation to a future complaint process implies uncertainty rather than confidence. Powers exercised on the street are expected to stand on their own legal footing there and then, not rely on retrospective justification.
I won't do it. If you can explain that legislation, Inspector, I won't do it. If you can't, then
He already has done.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, he has.
No, he hasn't.
He has.
What's your number?
2203.
When did you leave school?
Are you trying to be funny?
I'm just asking a question. When did you leave school?
Nothing to do with you.
The Air Traffic Management and Unmanned Aircraft Act 2021,
yeah,
right?
Right.
So, part of that legislation makes it an offence for an individual to fly a drone over a police station if there is a perceived threat to the security of that station. I am the duty inspector. I perceive that to be a threat to the security of this police station. Therefore, if you could do it, you'll be asked not to do it under that legislation. If you don't stop doing it, we will seize that drone under Section 19 of the legislation.
What
and
legislation?
If you don't allow, of what I've just explained to you.
What, the unmanned aircraft?
Yes, right. And if you don't allow us to do it,
you're wrong, you know.
You'll be arrested.
You're wrong, you know.
Right? And if you don't give your details so that you can be summoned, you'll also be arrested because we can't deal with the
Well, I'll already be arrested, won't I?
All right.
Inspector eventually falls back on rank, implying that because he's the duty inspector, his assessment of a potential threat is sufficient to activate the powers he's referencing. But statutory authority doesn't hinge on seniority or personal perception alone. Legal powers require an objective, articulable basis grounded in legislation. Rank may carry responsibility, but it doesn't expand the boundaries of the law. If anything, it heightens the obligation to apply those powers carefully and correctly. When arrest is mentioned repeatedly alongside a loosely defined sense that someone might pose a threat, the contrast becomes stark. Arrest is one of the most serious coercive powers available to police. It isn't designed to be floated as leverage or used as a conversational tool to pressure compliance. The threshold exists for a reason. Without clearly defined grounds, invoking arrest risks sounding less like lawful enforcement and more like an attempt to compel obedience through authority alone.
So I'm just explaining now. I don't know how much more I can say.
Okay, what's your Inspector what? Sorry. Just for the record. Inspector Tyrant features, I'd say. I think you look a bit like a tyrant.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what...
Thanks very much. I'll tell you one thing. We might get 1 or 2 calls if you walk around Hexham like that because people don't normally go around with their face covered.
Well, then you'll know, won't you, that it's me.
Right.
Won't you? And I'm worried about my... so don't try and threaten me, mate.
I'm just telling you how it is.
Is there any law of me walking about like this, Inspector?
Not at the moment.
Right then. So if you get a call, I'd expect you to tell them then, wouldn't you?
Any threat, harassment or alarm to anybody, then
walking down the street?
Right.
Would walking down the street with this on? No, because I don't want to do that.
We're done.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to cause anyone any harassment.
We're done.
So me walking down the street with this on, would that be a criminal offence,
I'm going to ask you to leave the premises
Exactly.
now, okay?
I didn't think it would be, would it?
Can you leave it?
No, I am going to stand over there, or I might stand a mile away, I might stand 2 miles away, and I'm going to fly my drone over your police station, like it or not. That's what's happening, mate.
Like they've said, if the drone comes over the police station,
it's coming over.
You'll get arrested, won't you?
No.
Well, we'll see you very soon
So
then,
we'll see you
won't we?
shortly,
So I'm getting arrested if it goes over the police station, am I now?
You've been told. I've told you not to do it.
When the earlier lines of argument fail to land, the focus pivots yet again, this time to Turbinator covering his face, with the suggestion that it could amount to harassment, alarm, or distress. That interpretation stretches public order legislation far beyond its intended scope. Simply covering your face in a public place is not, in itself, an offense. For a public order threshold to be met, there must typically be threatening or abusive conduct likely to cause genuine harassment, alarm, or distress, not merely behavior that irritates or challenges an officer during an exchange. The timing of this shift is telling. It emerges only after previous justifications have been questioned and weakened. That sequence makes it appear less like a spontaneous safeguarding concern and more like a continued effort to locate a legal hook to sustain the pressure already in motion. When a sergeant then arrives and immediately aligns with the inspector, without first independently establishing the facts, the dynamic escalates further. Rather than reassessing whether the original grounds were sound, the conversation jumps straight to mentions of arrest. Reinforcement replaces review. And when supervisory presence amplifies a contested position instead of scrutinizing it, the interaction moves further away from objective evaluation and closer to entrenchment.
So I'm getting arrested if the drone goes over. You said you're going to tell me to bring it down? Make him hand.
He told you not to do
Just
it.
don't do it.
Under what law?
You've been
I
told
don't
the
come
law.
along, me, mate.
Right.
And I'm doing it.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
And do you know what it is,
okay.
Inspector? Not only will I take Northumberland, I'll take you as well for lawful redress, mate. Believe me, I'll take you for lawful redress and I'll take it out your ass pocket as well as the Chief Constable. If you do anything that's unlawful to me,
Okay.
simple as that, mate. All right. Yeah?
I've explained to you, I've been reasonable.
No,
and
you
that's it,
haven't.
that's the
No,
end
you
of
haven't.
the
You're trying to blackmail me.
we're all
You're trying to
busy people.
blackmail me, mate. Well, get yourself in. I didn't ask you to come out, did I?
Well, you go away from this police station.
No.
Because this is our police station.
There's no chance to say I can't forgive
and
you.
we like look after our...
There's no chance to say I can't forgive you. Is there?
Okay.
Is there any chance to say I can't forgive you? Am I breaking the law by being here? If I am, I'll leave.
You're not. But I've just...
Inspector.
you know, our conversation is finished, isn't it?
No. Who dictates that? You dictated when it
Well,
starts. Well, I
that's what I
dictate
want
when
to
it
say to you.
finishes then.
Do not walk back up to that glass again because I got the impression that you were about to record in this police station. Please go away.
Right.
Please don't look into the police station.
Is that against the law?
Right? We consider that to be a threat against our security.
That's not against
in
the
here.
law, man. Are we,
Right.
Inspector? Let's be serious, mate.
Can you
I don't want to
please
leave.
just let us get on with
Do
our
you know
work?
what? I don't want to leave on bad terms, right?
Well,
Me looking through that window,
I
right?
never wanted to start on them. I just don't like people
I know, so let's try and talk
causing my
ourselves out.
staff
I know, and I don't want to do
alarming
that.
here, you
Inspector,
see.
that
Right,
is not
thank
my
you.
intention.
That's appreciated.
But one question before you go, please. Me looking through that window, glass, is that an offence?
It's not what normal people do.
Oh,
I'm
what's
honest with you.
normal, man, Inspector?
Right.
You can't get
All right,
arrested
okay.
for not doing
Thanks very
something
much,
what
Darren.
you class as
Thanks
not
for your
normal,
time.
Inspector, man.
Okay.
If you don't like members of the public taking them out, then get a different job that doesn't deal with the public,
Right.
mate.
Okay, Darren, thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Yes, thanks.
just a bit of friendly advice and all that. Yeah, see you later, mate. How mad's that? How mad's that?
What stands out most in the closing moments is the sharp contrast between tone and outcome. Throughout the encounter, the language suggested serious consequences, seizure, arrest, security threats, yet none of those powers were ultimately exercised. When Torbinator highlights the absence of signage restricting access, and even the inspector concedes that his mere presence isn't unlawful, the foundation of the confrontation begins to unravel. Another telling feature is how the justification kept shifting. First it was drone legislation, then broad security concerns, then filming, then public order. That constant pivot matters. When a situation is grounded in a clearly defined offense, the reasoning tends to remain consistent. Here, the movement from one rationale to another suggests not a fixed breach, but an ongoing search for one. In the end, Torbinator simply walks away, and the inspector returns inside. No seizure. No arrest. No formal action. For an interaction that began with confident assertions of authority and repeated references to serious powers, it closes quietly, because there was nothing concrete to anchor those threats to. When certainty dissolves into inaction, it reveals how firm the legal footing really was.